Hey everybody, so welcome to my guide for doing old Cataclysm raids and pretty much the results of what I made by doing the Cataclysm raids on heroic mode 25 player, which I think is like the last one that actually divided them by 25 or 10. I might be wrong on that. Mist Pandaria might do that too, but anyway. The important thing here is to realize that I did it, and I've got all the data here for you so that you can make a nice educated decision about whether or not you want to do these or not. So, the first one that I'm doing here is Blackwing Descent. So Blackwing Descent is pretty easy to get to from Stormwind, so if you're Alliance, it's a good place to start. And it's also fairly quick. There's not a whole lot of RP in this raid, so it's a good one to do. I'll say that one of the only downsides to it is pretty much like all of the the raids in Cataclysm. Once you finish it, there's not really any way to get out cleanly without using like Hearthstone or some other ability. If you're a monk, you can use Zen Pilgrimage, and that'll send you back to your class order hall, whatever that is. If you do that and then wait for the cooldown to reset, you can teleport back to like the nearest graveyard, which is actually pretty useful. So you can do that with Death Knight Monk. Druids can do that also, and there might be other classes that can do it, but those are the three I can think of off the top of my head. So those are pretty good. But yeah, so from this particular raid, what I ended up getting was I started with 19,534 gold, and then I ended, after selling all of the items, 20,630 gold, which was a profit of 1,096. So with gold made from killing bosses, killing trash, and selling all of the stuff that I got, made almost 1,100 gold. So and that took about 10 minutes for me to complete this raid. So pretty good amount of gold per minute. I mean, that's about 110 gold per minute. Not bad at all. The only things that I'm not mentioning here is you actually could make more if you use the auction house. So if you get some Ember Silk Cloth, if you get some pets, if you get BOEs that you want to sell for transmog, if you have some decent ones that people want, you may actually be able to make a little more gold on the side from this as well. Not a bad place to start. The next one I'm going to go to here is Bastion of Twilight. So going through Bastion of Twilight is fairly quick also. There is a good amount of trash up at the beginning of the fights, and that will kind of slow you down a little bit. But it's nothing too crazy. You will get a lot of gold from the trash and little BOEs and things. And this particular one, I got a pet off one of the bosses, the elemental boss, and that was apparently a fairly rare pet because it's recommended to sell around 13,000. Probably won't get that for it, but fingers crossed, I guess. So yeah, I went ahead and finished this raid. It took about 10 minutes, and I started with 20,630 gold, and I ended with 21,607 for a net gain of 977. Your numbers will vary. Like I said, I'm doing these depending on what items you get, what loot you get. You will get different amounts of gold. Another thing that you gotta kind of take into account is if you're on either a demon hunter or a monk, when you do these raids, the tokens that drop that can give you tier-specific armor or tier armor, those you won't be able to do anything with a monk or a demon hunter, because those went out back when these raids were a thing. So you have to sell all of those for the minimum 5 gold. Cataclysm's kind of weird in that respect, where once you get into Mist of Pandaria, all of those tokens are actually worth 50 gold. So they're not. It's better in most cases not to turn them into the tier equipment. Instead, just leave them as they are, and you'll make 50 gold from each one, which is really nice. Cataclysm, not so good for that, but if you are one of the other many specs or classes that can get one of those tier pieces, and you happen to get one that applies to your spec, you should convert it, because you'll get probably 4 times as much gold as you would from the token by itself. Overall, with this particular raid, I made about 97.7 gold per minute. So about 100, not bad, not great. But it didn't take very long, and there's very little roleplay, except like right at the end of Bastion of Twilight. And also this one's not hard to get to, because you can fly there pretty much straight from Blackwing Lair once you get out of it. Next one I went to was Firelands. Now, Firelands is it's kind of a trek. You can get there from your capital cities, like either Orgrimmar or Stormwind, by going to Mount Hyjal. There's other ways to get there too, but I think that's probably the quickest way to do it. But yeah, so went there. There's a lot of trash. Like, this is the trash capital of all of the cattle raids. You actually have to kill trash to get one of the bosses to spawn. Yeah, so because of that, well, there is some nice to it. The main nice thing about it is it's almost all outdoors, so you could mount up and just grab a ton of things. The only thing that kind of screws that up is some of the mobs do a dragon's breath attack that will make you disoriented, so you'll just walk back and forth for a while, and that kind of slows things down a bit. But aside from that, you can just mount up, grab a ton of things, almost the entire instance in the middle there, and just burn that stuff down in one shot, and then you'll have a pretty good chunk of gold from all the trash, plus whatever BOEs or other crafting materials you find from them. So all in all, with this particular raid, I was able to get it done in about 15 minutes. Started out with 21,607. After selling everything and picking up everything, I had 22,794. So that's a net gain of 1,187. Pretty decent amount of money to make off that for 15 minutes. It's not quite scaled with Blackwing Descent. There is a little bit of RP that makes things take a while. Plus, I wasn't necessarily optimizing my run with this one. So you probably could cut it down to maybe 12, 13 minutes, something like that. Maybe even lower if you have the right class. So, yeah, not too bad of a one to go. And then not the final, but pretty much the final raid of Cataclysm, Dragon Soul. So this one is the king of all RP. Like, there is so much, like, if you ever played Wrath of the Lich King raids, like if you were in during that expansion and you played Icecrown Citadel and you went to Sourfang and you got that fight, you'll know what horrible RP is. This beats all of that RP. Like the amount of stupid talking that they do at the top of the Temple of the Dragons or whatever it's called. Man, it is just terrible. A Wormrest Temple, yeah. At the top of that, they just will not shut up and they don't just move along. I wish there was an option to like skip the pageantry, because man, it ate up so much time. And to be honest, that's not even necessarily the worst fight. The worst thing about it was getting to the Spine of Deathwing. And that was absolutely awful, because I legit fell asleep during that fight. If you don't know how to do that fight, it's you may not have been around when it came out, but it's pretty simple. You just kill one of the tentacles, kill all of them except for one, and then stand in where the tentacle used to be, and then Deathwing can just roll in circles all at once and it won't throw you off. But you need to wait until you get about 9 corrupted bloods to come out, kill those all, then kill a tentacle to get one of the adds out that you need to blow up the armor chunk, and just run him through all of the corrupted bloods you just killed, and that'll give him 9 stacks of whatever. Then you blow him up and then get to the armor plate, and that's already making me tired just thinking about it. It was a terrible fight, and I like I said, I legitimately fell asleep during that fight. If you're gonna do this raid, I would probably leave out. If you could do the first 3 to 4 bosses and not have to sit through too much RP, but like the talking at Wormrest Temple, it's about 7 to 9 minutes of just not doing anything. So don't do it. I would not do it at all. My numbers for this one, I started with 22,794, and then I ended with 24,385. So that was a net gain of 1,591 gold over about 25 minutes. It was like 24, 25 minutes. Man, it was a slog. So only made roughly 70 so gold per minute. It's just not worth doing that one. There's the looking for raid version, which I guess you could do, but I mean, there's not really any reason to do that one if you can just do the heroic version fairly quickly and get a few more items that are worth a little bit more that way. So that brings us to our final raid for Cataclysm that I hadn't done yet, with the exception of Buried and Hold, because I didn't do Buried and Hold because I just didn't feel like dealing with that, and that's not reliable. Throne of the Four Winds is the last one I did. This is a really, really short raid, which is kind of nice. You have a chance of getting a pet, which is pretty good because then you could sell it. I started this instance with 24,385 gold. After completing it and selling everything, I got 24,681, so I made a net gain of about 296, which does boil down to about, since it took me 3 minutes, right about 100 gold per minute. Is like 99 point something, or I think it's like 98 or 99 gold per minute, so pretty good return there. And it's fast. The only downside of Throne of Four Winds is it's not very, there's only really the 2 bosses, and it's kind of hard to get out there. I ended up going from Dragon Souls to Throne of the Four Winds. Now, if you use the portal from your capital city to Uldum, you'll actually get there fairly quickly. It's not the super long way, or it's not a super long path, but it takes a hot minute to get there. And of course, as we all know, time is money, friends. So, overall, from Cataclysm raids, with the exception of Buried and Hold that I didn't do, I started out the night with 19,534 gold. I finished with 24,681, not including the things that I'm going to put on the auction house, which, if they sell for what I put them up for, it's going to be somewhere around 20,000, which would be really good if everything sold. I have no, you don't know. The auction house is the auction house. Sometimes people want to buy things like pets, sometimes they don't. So if they do, awesome. If they don't, they don't. But the reliable raw gold farming that I did netted me 5,147 gold over the course of about an hour and 10 minutes. Granted, about 25 minutes of that time was Dragon Soul. If you took Dragon Soul out of the equation, I still ended up with 3,556 gold, and that was about 40 minutes that it took me to get that. That's including travel time. And that's about 89 gold per minute, which is not a terrible amount to make. There are faster ways to get gold, obviously, but if you want to do some of these raids, 3,550 gold it's pretty quick to make that. I don't think these are necessarily worth doing anymore. If you want to, really, if you're just looking to get every bit of gold you can do the Cataclysm raids, but the real gold makers in these is hoping to get, the pets, the patterns, BOEs that people might want for transmogs, and that's basically it. So that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to do the next set of raids pretty soon here, which is going to be the Mists of Pandaria raids. And then after that, of course, I'll do Warlords of Draenor, which are actually probably some of the best ones to do for old content gold. And I might even do Wrath of the Lich King and before. But those are, I'll tell you now, like spoiler, those are probably not very good for gold making. But thanks for watching. I hope you all find this useful, and if you did, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Till then, try not to die.